I put the stops on the map. So anybody who opens it, the stops are there. So I just went ahead and replied this morning. We have 2 stops. Hey guys, we have 2 stops on this ride. 105 and Mount Mariah. That's a taco corner number 2, I guess. Yeah. And then the official taco corner is the second stop. After we go Gorilla Route, we'll come down Bailey Grove and stop at taco. So we got 2 good stops. And then I don't know what's going on 2854, but if it is still messed up, I don't know if anybody's been there. I haven't.
Oh, it's not bad.
Okay, so we can come back mail route.
It's because he likes that mess.
It's not a mess.
Or we can do Walden Road and take South Pine. So we have those options.
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton, rolled into the woodlands. We picked up the group from the Alden Village Center, headed west. Best timing out on 1488. Abby had a flat. We helped him. The group split up. Some guys went ahead. We stayed with Abby and then we rode up and were able to catch the group at the stop at Mount Mariah at 105. Then we headed past Dobbins on 1486, past Dacus, the Gorilla Route, Bailey Grove, 149. Pace was really good into Montgomery. We stopped at Taco, then we took the Walden Road back way out into Honea. Paul had a flat. We stopped, fixed that, and then we got on Fishcreek. It was a very, very good ride. Very hot, And so I think you would love the clips that we put together for you.
Well, we stopped him. Abby. Okay, so he didn't read his message, and he's late. Okay, Mount Mariah and 105, and then the official taco. We have 2 stops. So, Gorilla Route, Bailey Grove. So it's good. It's well spaced. Okay, good. Welcome. I'm Eldred.
Oh, you don't know Howard? Oh, you don't know.
I don't remember him.
Because he never comes.
I don't remember him, I guess.
The one and only one.
So what is your name, officially?
Erwin. My name is Erwin.
Okay. He doesn't come often enough, I guess. We kind of...
Yeah. He's always...
let me meet these guys.
I met
The guy in the yellow, his name is Jadir. It's spelled Yadir. That's Vince. Jadir.
Laura's
and
here.
Then Erwin, I know.
People who ride here. These guys are here. Okay. Let's clip in. Let's have some fun. The only rule is be safe. Don't follow Abby. He has no brakes. All right, let's go.
The gentleman Erwin, I don't remember him, but he's with the VCC guys.
Welcome, guys.
They hosted the Memorial
if you want to know what's going
Day
on with
ride.
the group, give your information to this gentleman. He'll add you.
So that was for Jadir and
Welcome,
Vince.
Kenny. So we got 2 stops, 105 and Mount Mariah, and then the official taco corner. And we'll probably come back Walden because we don't know what's going on for 20 years.
Yeah, it's been torn up.
Still torn up. Cool. Let's go, guys, before it gets too hot.
So Kenny lives out near where 2854 is, near Fishcreek. So he's familiar with what's going on out there. At this point in the ride, we're approaching Tamina Boulevard. This is part of the warm-up. Tamina will take us to 1488, the FM 1488 Westbound. I'm at the back of the group. I got the camera settled. I'm rolling up to them. But 2854, the FM 2854 off of Mill Route is under construction. Mike Bereras says it's not bad. It's probably rideable. So as time permits, I will check it out. And we haven't been out west in a while. Paul mentioned it on the way back on this ride. And it's because 1488 westbound into Magnolia is under heavy construction. There are only 2 lanes in both directions right now. I haven't been there in a while. This is 1488 west outside of Egypt, Texas. This is all Montgomery County, Texas. In a little bit, Abby rides tubeless, and he's going to get a nail in his tire. Well, it turns out we didn't see any sealant coming out of it. It turns out his sealant had dried up. It's been a few months, as hot as it is here. And he says he keeps his bike in the garage, which is, most of us do. but I don't think it matters where you keep it. Every few months, you're supposed to top off your sealant, and you really should carry a tube with you. Those of you who ride tubeless, you should have a tube because there are times when you might get a big hole that the sealant cannot fill, and you'll need that tube to get you home. And I recommend, Abby already has like VeloFlex tires. I recommend getting the higher quality tubeless tires, especially the wheels that you use on the group rides, because they're easier to mount. And you know, the like Continental tires are very tight, even their sew-ups. So get some tubeless tires that are easy to mount, so if you have problems on the road, you're not fighting with that wheel getting it on or off. So it was nice working with Abby's tire on this ride because it's a VeloFlex. It went on like a regular tire. He just didn't have any sealant in there to seal that hole. The hole wasn't that big. So he ended up putting a tube in there. He was able to finish his ride. But you will see it all play out in a little bit because he told us to go ahead, but you know, when I started to roll, I kind of had a bad feeling, especially since Laura and Paul stayed back with him. When I didn't see them, I decided let me go back and see. And I was glad we did because he needed our assistance because the tube that he was using, the valve was compromised. It was not functioning. So it was good that we were able to help him, and you will see that we were able to go and we caught up to the guys at the first stop. So it happens in a little bit. It's right around here somewhere. He picked up a nail. It's one of those things where you can't see the nail. The nail looked like it's gray, concrete color. It was small. And he was saying, well, I should have been wearing my glasses. I said, nah, you couldn't see that. Not at speed. You're going to have flats. And then at the end of later in the ride, Paulie Long guy picked up a wire in his tire. You know, just things that you can't see. It happens, so you got to be prepared. And if you're riding these deep dish wheels, you need to get at least an 80 millimeter valve stem on your tubes. You pay a little more, but it's worth it. So you don't always have to use an extender. Unless you're riding with the 808s and the super aero wheels, then you'll need an extender. But you need to have what you need for your situation. I just always buy the Race 28 light because I like how small they are. They get in my essentials kit easily, so I can easily carry 2 tubes. That's why I get them. So I pay the extra, but it's worth it. And I picked the one with the 80 millimeter valve stems. It ended up coming in handy for Abby because it fit his wheel perfectly. Our group continues to get faster, which is good. It's the injection of newer members, the enthusiasm, all of that. Right here, we'll start to slow down. He has a problem there. So we pull into that driveway right there. Yeah, John tells him to wait, to not just yank the nail out. The nail's in the tire. He heard it. I don't know if I got a good picture of it or not. I don't think I got close enough. So he was going to plug the hole, but then...
Yeah, look, a nail. You heard that, didn't you?
So in a little bit, see the nail right there.
Tubeless technology.
Right there. That's the nail. That whole long line you see is a nail stuck in there, laying on the tire.
It's holding.
He's gonna
so he's lost some pressure already. He runs about, I think, 60 psi.
Didn't even add air. 44 miles after that.
Hey guys, you want to
So John's asking us to scoot in because we were standing by the white line, so we get further off the road. At this point, he's removed it. We don't see any sealant coming out or anything. So we'll go ahead and I use my pump and we air up the tire.
I don't see any sealant.
Yeah.
So it probably didn't go too far in.
So that's what I'm thinking anyway, but it turns out that the sealant had dried up in there. Its tire inside was clean. So we put air in the tire and we start rolling. And in a little bit, he's going to realize that it's just not holding because the sealant was dried in the tire. So you got to keep up with your sealant. I think they say between 3 and 6 months. It depends on your use, where you store the bike, with ambient temperatures, I'm sure.
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, sure. Well, I had a Garmin 1000 before this, and I hit the gate and it fell off, and I didn't realize it. I was scared.
So Abby's up there with rolling. In a little bit, he's going to pull into the driveway at Sendera Drive because it's just not holding.
I don't think it's holding.
Yeah, so he's slowing.
He's stopping again. Pull into that side street. Probably needs sealant in it. There was a nail in the tire. We took it out, pumped it up. I don't think it's holding.
This is Sendera Drive. This little road here goes back into the Cimarron. So we pull in here. He's going to tell us, I don't want to hold up the group.
Do you have sealant?
He doesn't have sealant with him. And that's another thing you should carry.
You have a tube? No, I don't have a tube.
He doesn't have a tube. He doesn't have a sealant. He doesn't have sealant. So those are two things that you need to have. So at this point, he's asked us to go ahead. I'm a little uneasy about it. And you can see I'm just kind of half-heartedly pedaling, rolling slowly. I'm looking back because I don't see Laura, I don't see Paul. And I'm thinking about it here. I'm like, I don't know. So in a little bit, I'm going to turn around. And then Erwin would turn around with me. Erwin is the guy who put the ride together for the Memorial Day. I did not remember. He doesn't come on this side of town very often. He lives on the east side. So I turn around. Erwin's with me here. I turn the camera off there. We roll back. And they're still there messing with it.
Thanks for coming back.
Okay, so at this point, we put the tube in there. I ended up giving him a tube that had an 80 millimeter valve. That's what he needed. The other one was compromised. Erwin tried to give him a tube, but Erwin's valve had an issue. So you got to check your tubes when you carry them in your kit. When you buy them, even when they're brand new, air it up. Make sure it holds a little bit of air. Then deflate it, fold it up nicely, and put it in your kit. Don't just take it out of the box and put it in your kit. Make sure it works. Because if the situation with Erwin was, he gave Abby a tube to use that you couldn't even get the valve to receive air, to allow air to get in. So if Erwin had a flat with that tube, thinking he had a tube, he would have been stranded. So always test your tubes before you put it in the bag. And if you're not comfortable changing your tire, practice. Take a spare wheel at home and practice. So at this point, we're rolling, Abby's pulling, and the engine's here. We've got a lot, Laura's here, I'm here, Paul's here. So we figure we're going to just keep the pace 22, 24 and try to catch those guys at Mount Mariah. So actually, I'm glad that we stopped. I told Paul Ilonga later that it was a good call that they decided to stay with Abby, because if we hadn't stayed, he wouldn't have been able to ride. He would have had to call for a ride because he didn't have a tube, and the tube that was offered to him before we departed was malfunctioning. So we're riding here in a little bit. I'm going to pull off to the side to get a drink. And the boys are going to come around me. That's John Z and Erwin, and I slip on the back. So let's see, 1, 2, 3. There's 7 of us here. So we've got enough riders to keep the pace high, as you will see. And we're able to catch them at the first stop. 7:46 in the morning is 28 Celsius. I mean, you know, that's pretty hot. Because at 30 Celsius is 85. So we're in the 80s already. So it's been just a brutal summer for our area. And now we heard this weekend California was hit with a tropical storm or tropical depression. There's a lot of flooding. You know, the area's dried and you get all this water and it just floods, you know. So the earth is going through some changes. So with your group, you kind of have to decide. There are groups that are open groups, and so you know people don't even stop when somebody has a mechanical. Just your closest mates will stop with you. Our group is not one of them. We want to make sure, even though Abby said we should go, only the group basically split in half. Half the group went ahead, half stayed behind with him, and I'm glad that we did. So leave no man behind. You want some kind of camaraderie, as Mike Bereras always puts it, camaraderie in the group. Abby pulled for a long time. I believe he's going to pull until we get to 149, or at least after Mount Magnolia coming up. Sitting a little bit off the back intentionally, just kind of, you know, getting into the right percent. I'm not that far off the back. The camera has a wide angle, so sometimes the distances are further than they appear, almost like you have in those convex automobile rear view mirrors. I have been doing a lot more heavy training lately. Not as much in terms of frequency, but intensity. Because I already have the endurance, and I'm pressed for time, so this was right up my alley. So I've been focusing more on quality. It's too hot anyway to do the longer rides we used to do. We're going to wait till the fall and winter to build those capillaries. So right now we're focusing on intensity. So whatever distance we do, we're going pretty fast. We're on the shoulder. We go through this light even though it's red. Now legally, we're allowed to do that because being on the shoulder, you're out of traffic, so to speak. It does not, diplomatically, it does not look very good because the average driver does not understand the legal ramifications that you're allowed to not obey the traffic rules when you're off the road. And technically we are off the road, but all they see are cyclists going through the red light, so be cautious about it. We did that. That was a three-way, so I just wanted to explain that. Even some of the officers are not aware that technically you can go through the red light when you're on the shoulder because you're out of traffic. Because there was a cyclist in the area that I met a few weeks ago, and he told me that he got a ticket for doing that, and he went to court, and the district attorney or whoever handles it, the prosecutor, threw it out. Because if you're on the shoulder, you're not part of the main lane, main traffic per se. But what I explained to him was, even with that though, it doesn't look good for us as cyclists. So we're kind of hit or miss there. Sometimes we will stop. I personally stop If I'm riding solo and I'm on the shoulder and the light's red, I stop. But, you know, we're trying to catch those guys. Abby checked. He waved us through. He's leading. We just kind of rolled through. I wanted to explain that. So really, I default to stopping. Because even the officers will hassle you. Because it looks like you're running the light. So whenever a car is pulling out like that, like the one we just passed, Abby puts his arm out, he waves at the driver. It gets their attention, just in case they're not paying attention. Maybe they're looking at a phone or a screen or nav system or whatever. We wave like we're saying hi, you know, and keep your hand pointed like we're going straight. We get their attention, especially when the proximity is that close. So there's no doubt that they see you. See, that's Jennifer waving at that car. This is a grade here. It goes up a bit. We're keeping the effort steady. So we're not killing it per se, but we're not messing around either. It's a steady progression. Because our goal, I'm sure everybody thought the same thing. Let's ride and see if they're going to be at that stop when we get there. So this is like a little bump. Then we'll level off. We'll catch a couple of lights, and then we go up the overpass. So Abby's been doing a lot of work since we fixed the flat. He's still pulling. Probably pulled for about at least 10 kilometers. It's probably about 10 kilometers from where he had the flat to where he pulled off, about 6 miles. I stay near the white line. There's a lot of debris. That's what the guys are pointing out. We try to avoid them as much as possible because you don't know what's in there. That's the least you can do. Read the road. Make sure you know where your wheels are going. It fends off punctures. Okay, so this is where Abby pulled off, and then Laura's taking over. You can see the watts are going up. That's what I need to ride up this 3.5% overpass. Your experience might differ depending on your fitness and your physicalities. If you're a lightweight rider and you're in good shape, you might not need to do no 400 watts at this effort. So close to 18 miles an hour, keeping it steady. Because when you got a small group, you don't want to burn anybody off. You might need them later to help you pull. So you keep it steady. It's not the time to be launching attacks and raising the pace excessively because you wear people down. This is the part of 1488. You see all the barrels on the left. As you continue west, the construction intensifies. They're trying to improve the road, but they had to tear it up. And now they have a 2-lane road with traffic in both directions. It's just not convenient for cycling. And there's at least, I would say, between 5 and 8 kilometers. That's 3 to 5 miles that construction takes up. And with the heat as it is, I don't want to take us to 1486 to go west. It's just a longer ride. We'd have to use this route, Jackson. And then 1486 has a very narrow shoulder. I don't like keeping the group on that road very long. So as time permits, I will drive out there and see how the construction is progressing. See when it's ready for us to enjoy going out there. We go out of our way to find scenic routes, because that's the whole point. Anybody can sit in traffic. Nothing special about that. You do that every day in your car, probably on the way to work. I'm letting them know that it's clear now. I'm letting them know the car was back. I let them know it's clear. As the caboose, that's the least you can do. We're approaching 149. We're going to be going north, turning left. I went ahead and edited for time. The content is the same on this stretch because you just see a line of cyclists for about probably 10 kilometers, probably 15K, by 8 miles. So in a little bit, you're going to see a driver almost run into the back of another car. It was clear he or she was not paying attention. We're on the shoulder, and the car stops for another car that's turning left. And this person had to slam on the brakes, and you will hear it. My brother from another mother. Abby. I try whenever possible to hook up with Abby and them. They have a ride called Romeo several times during the week. Thursdays work for me because Thursday is a day I like to do a little longer ride. And I try to structure my week to where I have a little more time on Thursday. And then plus they're leaving early now, so it's more convenient for me, for my schedule. And this is where the car almost slams into another car. In a little bit, you'll see it. The black car will start to slow down for somebody turning left, and the person in the white car is not paying attention. he caught it. I mean, you know, he
Paying
didn't
attention.
not paying attention. I mean, it's like you're following too close. First of all, if you have to stop like that, because that guy didn't do anything unusual. Somebody was turning left somewhere up front, and he stopped because the other cars were stopping. Driving down the road, you got to be looking ahead. The car is not driving itself. So you don't want to pay attention, get on a bus or take an Uber or a taxi or something. If you're going to be driving the car, you got to drive the car. Multitasking is overrated. So at this point in the route, we're approaching Highway 149, where it diverges to the right. It goes east. We're going to stay on 149 where it becomes Jackson Road. We're going north. It happens here. It's clear back. Abby's behind me. He already moved over. John Z saw him. That's what John Z jumped on the road there. We're going straight, so we take the main lane. So it's clear to anybody coming behind us that we're going straight. This is where it continues as 149 to the right. And that will take you to Keenan. So when you're going to Spring Branch Road, that's another option. Right here is like 2.5%. It kicks up. That's why the watts are high. So I edited the time here. The content is the same. Just remove some of the parts where not much was going on. So Laura's done pulling. She pulled since we were on Mount Magnolia. So Erwin tells her to get in. We've been getting a lot of wind from the north in the morning, and then it will shift around, come from the south, northwest or southwest, sometimes southeast. It varies. But we get a lot of breezes, but in the afternoon it's just hot. the breeze is hot. It's like you're getting air from a heat gun. This has been an unusual summer. Whatever is warming up the planet is for real. It's happening everywhere. So we need to take heed. We got to live here. There's nowhere else to go. Paulie Lunga is done pulling. Abby was saying, my brother from another mother. He always does that. You see how the line is tight. We're keeping the effort high. We're riding almost at 24 miles an hour. This road is lumpy. It's breezy. Jennifer took her pole. She's pulled off. Everybody was pulling their weight, keeping the pace high. I think is John pulling. I think John is pulling now. So Abby is on my wheel. I just saw his deep dish carbon wheels back there. This is why we like to come out here. I mean, look at the scenery. Just green stuff. I mean, as dry as it's been, the trees seem to be doing fine. So they tapped into some underwater aquifer or something out there. And we got a little bit of green with the burned grass around it. I'm doing my best to keep my lawn alive because it's cheaper than trying to buy sod. The prices of sod went up tremendously last summer. And with this drought, it's going to be even higher. Because you know how it is when demand pops. All these entrepreneurs get greedy. So they're going to be charging people because we have a lot of yards in our area that look like they may not come back. So even if yours look like a little burn, if it's been established for a while, put some water on it. Because you still got to water the new sod when you buy it. So it will cost you twice as much. So I'm running my sprinklers at night, like 2:30 in the morning. That's when I run them. Eliminates evaporation, and then with the dew, combined with the dew, the grass gets a lot of moisture. It's just been 100 plus for more than a month in our area. That's ridiculous. So 40 to 42 Celsius has become our norm for this summer. 100 to 105. We have a tropical storm in our Gulf area that came in last night in the Corpus Christi area. We have not been affected up here in Houston because it's tracking westerly south of us. So it's going to hit Corpus and Brownsville, those areas close to Mexico. I was hoping we'd get a little taste of it and get some rain. We need some rain. That's my head unit. I guess we went over something it considered to be a climb. So John Z pulls off. Remember, Erwin had let Laura in. So Laura is back at the front. And I'm thinking, she just took a pull. You know, that's a bit much for her. You know, it's like, so in my mind, I'm thinking when the opportunity arrives, I'm going to slip up there and try to do some work, you know. And when we get to 1486, the opportunity arises. Erwin slows down a bit, and then I slip behind Laura. And shortly after that, I pull for a bit. But then Paulie Longa comes to the front thinking that, oh, well, I've got the camera. I'm going to give you some of the film. Because, you know, he films most of the time. So, but he didn't realize I had turned the camera around. That's okay. But that's what's going through our mind. We're not just riding. We're thinking ahead. We're thinking about what's going on, you know. I love filming these rides. It's a lot of fun. You guys get about, I guess, 1/6 of it. We ride 5 or 6 hours. You get about an hour to an hour and a half, maybe a third. That's good enough. I'm not going to film more than that. It's just too much footage. Look at this road. Got good company, good form, and a beautiful road to display it on. Those are Andy Hampton's words when he won Alpe d'Huez back in the day, when he was with the Motorola team. I don't know if I'm standing. No, probably not. I'm probably in the drops or something because the camera's tilted. The Dutch angle I talked about last week. There we go. I'm back on the tops. You can see my shadow. It opens up my diaphragm so I can get more air. I found that I'm not using as much in terms of watts on these bumps as I used to in the past. As my body has become more lean, it requires fewer watts to go over these things. So that means when I push harder, I'm going faster. This is where I get my opportunity to go up front. So I decide I'm going to get on Laura's wheel right here. I take the inside line. This is a downhill, so we're rolling at about 25, 26 miles an hour. Just maintaining the effort. And that's the nice thing when you keep it steady, you know, you can keep going. Sometimes those jumps you got to sit up and recover from it. And you will see that later in the ride. I don't know if it's on film or not, but that's how the Friends of Friends boys ride. We get to Taco Corner, I believe we're off camera, and we pick up a bunch of riders that are there that did not start with us, but they came back with us. I'm taking a drink here. I decided to call Laura the Purple Queen. She loves purple, and she shows the resiliency of the plant in our area that we call the Purple Queen. And then her seat pack, her saddle pack is purple as well. I noticed that at the end of this ride. But it just turns out that's her favorite color, and she just happens to have a purple saddle bag already. But then today, she displayed, you know, the purple kit. It just looked really cool. So you got to take time and put your stuff together, you know, whatever it is. If you are a yard man, get a nice outfit, put it together when it's time to go to work. So you look the business. The people would take you seriously. Whatever it is that you do, wear the proper uniform. By uniform, I mean, it doesn't have to have labels or whatever. What I mean is, get what you need for the job. If you're going to be working outside, wear the proper shirt or pants that breathe so you can be ready to be out there. You know, look like you're prepared, and then people will be like, okay, this guy got it together, then I think he can handle my task or my job. That's what I mean. You know, don't come in there wearing a suit and tie when you're supposed to be digging a hole to replace a pipe. Because I personally don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to the guy who's going to come fix the pipe. If you're just here to sell me stuff, I'm not interested. I want to talk to the man doing the work. So you come in to ride, you got to dress like you mean business. Laura's going to pull off here. I'm going to turn the camera around as I go by. And Paul's not aware of this. So Abby's on my wheel. You will hear Paul suggesting to Abby that you need to go up there. He's thinking I'm filming the road. I put my head down and decide, okay, we're close to Mount Mariah. Let's keep the pace high so we can get there. That's what I'm doing. So after a little while, Paulie Lunga will come to the front because he doesn't want me filming the road. He thinks I'm filming the road. So I settle into a rhythm here. That's where he comes up, right here. He said, I'm getting in the front, basically to give me something to film. I turn the camera around. I raise my cadence and get up on his wheel. The road's gonna go up just a bit. I don't know if I stood up or not, but I'm settling in. Look how beautiful it is out here. And you see where Paul is. That when I ride solo, that's where I ride. If it's clean, that's what I'm going to use. And you're not competing for road space. And the drivers appreciate it. And out here, when they're coming by, they give you a lot of room. A lot of them, they use the other lane or they'll go over the yellow line. It's rare that you get people skimming by you out here. You notice that Paul's running multiple lights. We got some lights from Magic Shine. I've been testing them. And as time permits, I will put together a video. Some of them are smart lights and so forth. But the CME50 is what he has on the bike, not on the saddle that you see there. And that has been the most consistent light they've sent as far as longevity. The rest of the other lights that have all this circuitry and the smart features, braking functions, they run the battery down. That's what I found in my testing. And so they don't even come close to the expected duration times that are listed in the paperwork that comes with the products. So I want to do some thorough testing before I introduce it to the channel. We're going to be turning left. That's why Paul is coming on the road.
Hey, can you hear me? Yeah, you know we're crossing.
Abby's on the phone. He's got a headset on. Somebody called him to find out because, you know, they thought we left him back there. I'm sure they're aware that we stayed with him. But they're asking where he is. And he's letting them know we're just turning onto Mount Mariah now. And it turns out they're right at the store. They're about a mile and a half, maybe a mile and a half up the road.
Left. Yeah, we're less than a mile away.
That's what he's just telling them, we're less than a mile away. So he takes the lead here. I think Paul's going to get on his wheel. I'm going to get on Paul's wheel. And when you're following people, you know, visibility is different. You can't see as well. There are some cracks. Our road here, I call it our road. I like this road. We're here when they paved it. It's falling apart. I mean, the soil underneath is, I guess, eroding somehow because the road is cracking and the cracks are getting bigger. We're going to end up hitting it. And Laura's going to say, I hear her in the back. She says, I hit all of that, meaning she didn't miss any of the crack. Right here. Right here. You heard that? She said, I hit all of it, meaning she hit every crack because I'm not sure what Abby is paying attention to, but he rode us right into it. There's no reason. Look at the road. We've got the road to ourselves. Why are we riding those cracks? So when you're at the front like that, move your group away from the hazards. There is no reason for us to not have been able to avoid those cracks. I just chuckled. You know, you probably heard me chuckle. You know. And that's what she meant when she said, I hit all of that. We didn't have to hit any of it. But anyway, our road is falling apart. They're aware of it. They've been coming out. You see the asphalt. They look kind of black, like it's painted on there. They've been trying to patch the road right here. See that? They've been trying to patch the road by putting liquid asphalt in those cracks, trying to keep the water from seeping between there when it rains, because it gets into the soil beneath there and it washes away underneath, and then the road sags. You know, it's like almost like how we get sinkholes. I mean, they happen suddenly because there's so much water. The same theory. The water gets in there, moves the soil out of the way, nothing to support the road, and it starts to fall away because asphalt it needs something under it. It needs a foundation. And so does concrete. It happens with concrete, they'll crack. And and buckle. You probably live if you live in an area where you see part of the road is a lower level than the next. You know that's concrete. That's because the soil beneath it has moved. We have quite a few of that. We have a road here called Dairy Ashford near I-10. It's a mess. I go there every so often, and it's lumpy. It's getting hot. I've unzipped, and we're at the store now.
Stopping, car left.
The cars, this is the main highway, Highway 105. It runs east and west. Conroe all the way to...
We hit every crack over there. Every road was into the crack.
I'm giving Abby a hard time. So we hit every crack over there. This is where we're stopping. We call it Taco Corner number 2. They have a taco eatery in there. They make tacos. I've never purchased, and when I'm on the bike, I can't eat that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm breathing hard here. I didn't realize that. I guess it's getting hot. It's hot. It just felt hot on this day. 29 Celsius. Almost 90 degrees at 8:33 in the morning.
Load up.
You hear me tell everybody to load up because we're late. We just got here. These guys have been here. It's not time to mess around. Go in there, take care of business, load up your bottles.
Load up. Wait, load up.
So we're not waiting. So at this point in the ride, we've already left the second stop, Taco Corner. It is about 10:20 a.m. It is now 34 Celsius. The temperature has jumped. Remember, it was 29. So that's like 5 degrees. You know, when we stopped at the second stop off camera, Paul told me it got hot back there. I unzipped my jersey completely and let it flap because I run hot. And that felt good to have that wind hit me. So when we're moving, it's okay. It's tolerable. You've got a nice breeze blowing you. You know, the evaporative cooling kicks in. But when we stop at the lights, you feel it. At this point, we're coming back up to Abby and them because Yusuf dropped his light. One of the riders riding with us dropped his light. And so he had to stop to pick it up. So we backed off the pace to let him catch up. And so these guys were aware. So they were waiting. So now we've come up. We're on Rabon Chapel headed south towards the FM1486. I'm coasting to avoid braking. That's why you see I'm on the right. The guy next to me is on the left. We're both trying to use the wind and friction to slow us down because the pace up there, somebody has momentarily slowed down. And now we can get back in the line here. I'm standing. That's why the camera's moving. I stood to kind of get that gear rolling. So, in a little bit, I'm going to give Kenny a hard time. I'm going to say, Kenny, I hope that's not your knee or something like that. I don't know if I did it on camera or I did it before. I'm not sure. But at some point in this stretch, I mentioned to Kenny, I said, I hope that's not your knee. His bike is making all kinds of noises. And it sounds like the bottom bracket where it interfaces with the carbon. A lot of those press fits, they have that creaking. You hear it? It sounds worse than that. I dubbed the film to keep the wind noise down. I think it affected that too. But it's just like an orchestra. I see pedals, you know. And I was like, man, that would drive me nuts. I can't stand that. I just want to hear my tires. Because noise means something's wrong. Some part is not happy. Same thing with your car. There's a noise. You got to find out that's a noise you're not supposed to be hearing. Deal with it before it causes a breakdown. So we're doing 46 kilometers an hour. In a little bit, it won't be fast enough for Abby, who always says, have mercy. He's going to come and lift the pace. Right there. They're going to lift the pace and act like he's sprinting. Kenny follows him. But then I realized, okay, let me lift the pace. Darren wants nothing to do with it. He just keeps riding. He stays on the right. Like, go waste your energy. So he lifted the pace right there, and now they're backed off. You know, I'm doing almost 29, 30 miles an hour. And I see that back up. I'm like, oh, what was that about? So there's an intersection here. It's pretty busy. This 2854 and Rabon Chapel. Most of the time we have to stop. And this is no exception. But what I do is I time it to where he's on the left, I go right. Because the car that's coming is far enough away to where from the right, I could go west and do a U-turn. That's what I do. I don't unclip. I go to the right here because that car is at the light. He's moving very slowly. As soon as this guy goes, boom, I get across. And you're going to hear Abby. That's how you cross in Liberia.
Yeah, you guys from Liberia, guys. You ready?
He was like, what car was that? It wasn't close. There's plenty of room.
My brother from another mother.
I timed. Listen, that's Kenny's bike.
Yeah, I was ready. Have a good one, man. All right, man.
So Kenny lives out here.
Came out, man.
So he says goodbye. Thank you for coming out. He's going to go straight up there. He lives up there, 2854 towards Fishcreek. So Kenny rode from here to meet us. And it's so hot. He said it was hot when he left home. He's still giving me a hard time. Because I'm always bugging him about not stopping. You heard me tell people don't follow Abby. He has no brakes. So he's giving me a hard time. So in about probably 3 miles, about 1.5 kilometers or like that, no, 5K, about 5K. I guess 3 miles. Close to that. Paulie Lunga is going to pick up a wire in his tire. It's one of those where it's small enough to where it slowly deflates. But it wasn't very slow. He felt it right away. And then Abby is helping and he finds the wire. And that's always good when you find out we don't have to look for anything. Just take it out, put a tube in there, let's go. And that's what ends up happening. And we have all of that on film. I wasn't planning on filming it. I forgot the camera was on. So even though we had 2 flats in the ride, it didn't slow the ride down. It took us a few minutes just to fix the stuff. So you need to have what you need and be proficient enough, you know. In about probably 10 kilometers, I'm going to tell John Z, this guy in front of me here, sweats so much that the wind hits his sweat and you think it's raining. And I tell John Z, I say, he's got you beat because John Z sweats a lot. This guy, he the Astros, I think that's an Astros kit. It's weird having an Astros kit in a cycling, Astro colors in a cycling kit. The Astros a baseball team. But I figure that fans cover all sports. That's Max on the left there on the track.
There's a white line there, there's space.
Yeah, I told Mike, English Mike, that I see you. He was on my right.
Left turn.
Out of my periphery, I saw him coming up. I wanted him to know I know you there.
Fishcreek.
This bike's not short for you?
Oh.
Yusuf is asking me if my bike is not small for me. I didn't know what to say, so I really didn't say it.
We're turning here.
Bye, Mike.
Yeah, Mike's going straight. Mike and English Mike. The two Mikes are going straight on Honea-Egypt. I don't like to take a big group on Honea-Egypt late in the morning. Yusuf is asking me, is your bike not small for you? And the way he asked it was as if to say he was seeking information. And I don't like to have discussions with people who don't know the topic, because it's just, if you need to know something, just come out and ask me. Don't act like you already know. So I didn't respond. I didn't say anything.
What's wrong now?
Oh. We stopped again. And I said, what's wrong? I said, I have a flat. So he has a flat. It's always on the rear because your weight's on it, so you can't escape those little things. So I'm gonna
to the 11.
So I'm gonna put my bike on the fence here. You notice we always find a little place to get off the road. If you can't find a place like this, get in the grass if you have to, but get off the road.
And let's pray that this is not that John's cousin doesn't live here.
No, my cousins are low class. They don't live in this fancy neighborhood.
He's giving John a hard time. That's Abby. So let's pray that John's cousin doesn't live here. I'm holding Paul's bike.
Just take my tube, man. Just take my tube.
I think I have something.
I've got it in here already.
I told him to take my tube because by the time he
Yeah, I have something.
undoes his bag, which is
You got
nicely
a tube in there?
tied under the
I
saddle.
don't have it.
Just take my tube. You don't have to go in here. Just hold
Yeah,
the
that is quicker. And since we're riding together, if we need to get in there later, we can get in there. But you see the bag? What we do is we put two tubes in there and we get it nice and tight. So once you take off one tube, it doesn't sit the same way under the saddle. And we don't like our bags flopping. So mine is just a wallet. So I just hand in my tube. Because that was my second tube. I had two tubes on this ride. That's the second tube I gave to Paul. I am not aware that the camera is on. We're just trying to get this stuff going and get home because you can see it's 37 Celsius. We're approaching 100 degrees. And it feels like 100 degrees on the road. Abby found the wire.
I get 80s. Oh, really? Period. Because I've got some deep dish wheels. I don't use them all the time.
These are really good too.
It's the light. They call it race light.
Yeah.
So it's a little tougher than the latex. Yeah. So you get the benefits of the latex, but more durability. So I'll keep those. I'll keep the bag to put another tube in, a plastic bag. Yeah. Give it to me. Give me another.
I don't like to leave anything when I repair.
We don't need them to know we're here.
Yeah, especially with John's cousin.
I put a little bit of towel.
He keeps coming back to John's cousin. John's cousin.
Because John's cousins, they're going to come out with a gun very soon.
As long as you don't put it in there raw, just put it in a plastic bag. That's good enough.
I see people that put on
He
bare.
said John's cousin, they're going to come out with a gun.
The tube will abrade because you don't have flats all the time.
And the sun.
Just put it in
Some
something.
people
That's why
tie
I
the
keep
tube
these
bare
plastic
under their
bags
saddle. That's a
in
bad
there.
idea.
So
You
I
need to
can
protect
carry
that
two
tube.
tubes in here.
Otherwise, when you're ready to use it, it'll have a hole.
So when
As long as you're carrying the light one.
yeah, it's the race light. The regular ones I can't get two in here side by side.
Yeah, that's why I buy the race light. I can put two in there. My bag is still slim. You saw how slim it
Just pray that
was.
both of you don't hit the same.
Well, I carry.
When I ride my other bike, the sew-ups, I don't carry tubes. I just carry my stands because I can always pour it into there unless the cut is really big. And then sometimes I carry a spare sew-up in my jersey, or I wrap it around my body like the boys used to do. I'm thinking about doing that next weekend. Come on, Mike Barrera will appreciate it. Barrera's into history in cycling, so he will appreciate it. I will dress like Gino Batali and those boys used to do.
I just carry a couple of tubes and that's it. This bag has everything I need.
I put the blue bike out of service for a bit. I'm going to ride the orange bike next week. I've been riding the blue bike a lot.
Check my tires, make sure nothing's in there. Nothing's working its way in. Other than that, for the most part, maybe every 6 months I might have a flat.
My stomach is making noises, so I'm already angry.
Yeah, These lights never last the whole wait a minute.
You see, that's the light I'm talking
It's
about.
out? Yeah, it never lasts the whole ride.
I
That's
charged
why I
it
told him, I said,
fully.
you don't want me to make a video because your light will not sell. I said, because you said 30 hours, I get 4 hours. How can you put in the documentation that he sent that for me to review? It's supposed to last 30 hours. 4 hours is dead. But it's these lights, when you slow down, they get brighter. So it's all that smart stuff that's using up the little battery. Yeah. So I told him I get 4 to 6 hours. That's it. So I'll make a video, but I'm going to let them know. Whoever wrote this documentation did not test the light. And I've tried every setting.
Yeah, I've tried every setting on the CME. I think it's a CME 200.
Like the Garmin Varia.
It's too smart for the battery, I think.
Shine, so I'll test that.
Give me a simple light that lasts.
I like that one.
Is that Magic Shine?
That's Magic Shine. That lasts, and that's the one we have.
Their mountain bike headlights?
They make good lights. They sent me some little headlight for the front. It's just kind of heavy. It's a cube, but it's heavy. And I told him, man, I want a light light. I mean, I don't need to last forever because the light I have is made by Trek. It's called the Flare RT or whatever. I got the set.
Do those last?
This bad boy lasts forever, and it doesn't weigh anything. It's a cute little cube. I told him, Magic Shine, you gotta get close to that because that's my preferred light, and it will light up the road when I need it to. But you'll get maybe
turn it down if you're
you get 90 minutes. Yeah, as soon as I get to the group, because when it's dark when we leave, I turn up. So we get to the group, I put that's the low mode. That will run 30 hours. So once a week or so, I charge the thing. And so in that mode, it has a steady light and it flickers.
So in a little bit, I'm going to help Paul. Your arm gets tired.
So that mode will last
and put air in that. Finish up. It takes about 30 seconds or so.
Let me know if you need help, my brother.
So we don't need to carry CO2. I'd much rather use that pump. It's a high pressure pump. You don't just get any kind of small pump because they have pumps for mountain bike tires that will not work very well with these guys. It's high pressure. So we got it aired up. That's what I found out. I found out the camera was still running before I was about to put air in his tire. We're done. A few minutes. We're on the way. So it took us about 10 minutes to get everything sorted. This is Fishcreek Thoroughfare. I like to bring the group back on this road because we can always pick the whole right lane if we need to. This is Jadir. Got to meet him today. The saddle appears to be just a little high, but hard to judge. This stretch here, we're going into the wind. It is a nice little bump. Yeah, Paul was pointing to the debris. I'd already seen it. I'm always looking around the riders in front of me at all times. Do not depend on somebody pointing out stuff. Keep your eyes open. It all helps the miles or kilometers go by anyway. Going about 30 miles an hour. We're coasting because right around that corner there's a traffic light. And what's going to happen is we're going to time it to where we don't catch the light. I think it's at Ridge Lake Shores. So it's probably somebody soft pedaling at the front. Before you see the road curves, it goes up a slight grade towards the light. Right here is like a slight downhill. This is almost 4 hours into the ride with these guys. For us, it's almost 5 hours because we ride an hour before we get there. This is the light we didn't want to catch. We'll go through, and then the speeds are going to pick up. It goes slightly downhill, levels up, then it kicks up. There's a little hole right there we always dodge. It's like a chip in the pavement. It's been there for a while. See the gaps? I'm going to ride up. I'm going to turn the camera to the side so I can get Jennifer here. See how Jennifer looks on her bike, nice and comfortable. John likes to push a big gear. He's grinding here. But we go ahead and go around John because he's leaving a gap to this wheel. This is Irwin. And then Paul. So Paulie Lunga is going to get on Irwin's wheel, and then I'm going to slip on Paul's wheel after I'm done filming the side view here. I turn the camera back to the front. And right there, I just slip in. So at this point, John and Jennifer backed off the pace a bit. They're off our pace. They're behind. They'll catch up at the next light. That's what I was talking about. It kicks up. Right here, it kicks up. You feel it more than anything. It says 2. I think it's like 3%. It's short, though. But we have enough of them on these rides to where we'll do 3,000 feet of climbing, about 900 to 1,000 meters in a 5 or 6 hour ride. The light over there is red, so we're going to be stopping.
Thank goodness for the wind, man. When we stop, there's nothing.
Your stop is hot. It feels like 42 Celsius. I'm going to say 38, but that sun.
I thought you sweat a lot. That guy got you. The sweat running off of him like it's raining.
You've been Astros jersey?
Yeah. Sweats a lot.
Oh, Donnie.
Somebody twisted a screw up there, so I stand up, get my gear rolling. Get back up to 40K quickly, and then slip in. So I don't know what you did this weekend, but this is part of what we did on Saturday. Remember, get your K's in and keep all the doctors fired.